Aden Duale to take over the mantle of leading this great ministry of environment, climate change, and forestry, and at the same time to express a lot of gratitude to the great team led by the two principal secretaries, Principal Secretary for Environment and Climate Change and the Principal Secretary for Forestry, the heads of departments, the heads of sagas, the CEOs, and members of staff for a very wonderful opportunity I have had in this ministry to serve together with all of you for the past close to 22 months or slightly over. It's been a wonderful team to work with, and I am very confident. I have worked with my brother Aden Duale in various capacities, and I can assure the team in environment, climate change, and forestry that as I exit this space, you are in extremely good hands. And to congratulate you, my brother, for coming on board. It just happens that our main stakeholders in the 15 billion tree growing program was the KDF. Actually, when you look at our reports, CS Duale was highly ranking in his leadership of KDF in contributing to the whole of government approach to the ecosystem restoration program. So we are having reversed roles, but fortunately I remain your biggest stakeholder for the 15 billion tree growing program. So karibu sana. From this moment on, I remain your guest within the ministry. Karibu.
My life in Parliament and in KDF, we were not allowed to make statements off the cuff. And I was telling Waziri that when you go to defense, everything must be on record. So I decided to draft a small speech. My dear sister, Honorable Soipan Tuya, the Minister for Defense, our two principal secretaries, Secretary of Administration, heads of department, members of the Fourth Estate, good morning.
Good morning.
It's a big honor for me to be here this morning, and as I stand before you as the new Cabinet Secretary for Environment, Climate Change, and Forestry, first I want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to everyone who has been part and parcel of this transition. It's a very privilege to take over from Honorable Soipan, whose leadership in this ministry has been very exemplary. I have worked with her. I know her capacity both when she was in Parliament with me as one of our speakers panel. But as I promised during my vetting process, climate change will remain a major focus for me. Climate change is not merely an environmental issue, but it is the most serious challenge that humanity faces today. Its impacts are profound, it's far-reaching, and it's deeply personal to all of us. Here in Kenya, we have experienced harsh realities of the climate change. You have seen the prolonged droughts of the past 2 years, followed by the very destructive floods, which brought very devastating losses of lives and livelihood. They have destroyed properties and infrastructure and public institutions, and despite our contribution to the global emission being less than 0.3%, and Kenya is among one of the most vulnerable nations. So our climate change are both severe and are very urgent. And under the leadership of my predecessor, Honorable Soipan Tuya, Kenya has made a very significant contribution. Our efforts in climate change mitigation and adaptation have been commendable. The National Determined Contribution NDCs and other strategies have propelled us forward in promoting renewable energy, advancing tree planting initiatives, and strengthening climate resilience. These achievements have laid a very solid foundation for our continued progress. As I step into this role, I'm committed to building on the foundation laid by my predecessor. and the whole team that is seated here. We will continue to strengthen our climate action agenda, promote green growth, and ensure sustainable natural resources management. Our ministry will support effective coordination of climate action by all actors, including government, the private sector, the civil society organizations, and our donor community. We will mobilize climate finance from diverse sources, and we will channel them to support our own initiatives. Climate change is a global challenge that demands international cooperation, and my ministry will champion active international engagement, advocating for developed countries to fulfill their obligation, and it is imperative that global emissions are reduced and that financial, technological, and capacity building support is provided in line with international commitments. Kenya is already a leader in the international climate negotiation. With His Excellency the President serving as the chair of the Committee of African Heads of State and Government on Climate Change, we also hold the chairmanship of the Technical African Group of Climate Negotiators. I will ensure that Kenya continues to play a very strong role in advocating for climate action on the global stage, securing fair and equitable outcomes for Africa. For instance, this week from August the 12th to the 16th, Nairobi is hosting a very crucial meeting of the Africa Group of Negotiators and other African institutions. The gathering will focus on developing a unified African position for COP29, which will take place in November in Baku, Azerbaijan. And key areas of discussion will include climate finance, adaptation, carbon markets, and the full implementation of Article 6 of the Paris Convention. Under my leadership, the Ministry of Environment will remain at the forefront of the climate change agenda. And I call upon all our staff, stakeholders, government bodies, private sector, civil society, and individual citizens to join us in this very, very important collective effort. Together we can secure a sustainable and a climate resilient future for Kenya, for Africa, and for the world. Turning to our key priorities for forestry development, we will advance the following key areas: the implementation of the 15 billion tree growing program through the National Landscape and Ecosystem Restoration Strategy. We have already grown over 400 million trees. We will continue this ambitious effort to restore our ecosystems. We will have a program of conservation